Hello everybody, welcome to this week's edition of Valpo Basketball Preview along with head coach Bryce Drew. This is Todd Eichow, and we head to the final home stand of the year, the final home stretch. And well, coach, you put yourself in a great position, up 2 games with 4 to go, and you have really, this is why you're involved with basketball, for weekends like this with great opponents coming in front of what should be great home crowds in Oakland and Detroit. Exciting time of the year.
Yeah, we're happy where we are. Very pleased to have an opportunity to have 2 home games and go on the road for 2. We know it's going to be a challenge playing 4 very good teams, but I think our team is ready for the challenge and ready for these 4 games in the conference tournament.
What an interesting team Oakland is at this point in the year, because they haven't lost on the road in league play. It's kind of unheard of. I don't know if you've ever seen anything like it. They have 4 losses at home. They have none on the road. Hard to explain, right? I don't know if Greg Campy could explain how this is happening, right?
We know they're a really good team, and they're playing very well right now. They're playing like they did when they beat Washington at Washington and almost beat Michigan State. So they're back, playing that way. I think, the transfers, they have a St. John's to Iowa State at Texas. I think the transfers are blending and really getting used to the system now.
Their transfers have been good. Martez Walker's playing really at a high level, but obviously Felder's the guy to slow down. And you've done, over the past few years, pretty good job on him. I think in the last 3 games, Keith Carter has held him under 50% shooting. Certainly the game this past a month and a half ago at Oakland, he held him to 8 of 28. Keith's defense a lot of times gets kind of overlooked, right?
Well, we all know Felder's what a good player he is, and we know he's going to score. And so, we're going to just try to make it as hard as possible, but he's going to create shots. He's going to make shots. He's just an excellent player. Keith works as hard as he can, and I think, around him we have other 4 guys that, you're aware where Felder is, and again, you just try to make his shots contested the best you can.
It should be a game which, they love to play the up-tempo. And you look at the numbers, it's a great contrast, because you're holding teams to 58 points a game. They're scoring 86 points a game, second in the country. You're second in the country in points given up. And you could say, if the game ends up in the 80s, you might still win. If the game ends up in the 60s, maybe you have a better chance of winning. But the tempo of this game, they want to play fast. And you guys have had great success stopping transition baskets. That's got to be as big a key as any.
Well, I think they play fast a lot because they're so talented offensively. They can get good shots early, and they have a lot of guys who can really score. And so, for us, we go into games and we play, how the game's going. And so if we have good shots, we'll take them. We won't pass up open shots, and hopefully we'll stick to our same defensive rules.
I think that's a very important point offensively. A lot of times you go into games saying, all right, this game favors us if we play in the 60s. Maybe you think that mentally. Maybe you don't talk to the kids about it. And maybe you don't want to take too quick a shots, because then they end up getting out on the break. Missed shots leads to missed baskets, leads to transition baskets on the other end. But you can't come into a game and say, we've got to run 15 or 20 seconds every time. You can't get into a normal flow. You've got to take good shots if they're early, right? And if you beat their traps and their pressure, you've got to attack the basket early if you can.
Don't want our guys play free and not be thinking. So, again, we'll play how we normally do going in. If we have open shots, we'll take them.
Detroit on Sunday is a team which is also playing very well. And everybody looks at Oakland, but Detroit seems to be playing their basketball right now. Their best basketball right now.
And if you look at, the year, their games are really close. The ones that they've lost are all a couple possession games, and they're on a good streak here, winning a lot of games. So another very talented offensive team that's scoring in the 80s. So, definitely some big challenges coming up.
I know the answer, but we'll ask it anyway. You beat both teams handily on their home court. There's no way the team, your guys, are thinking, well, these games are going to be easy, right? They understand that these teams are better than what you saw in Detroit.
And we played very well, in those 2 games also. And I think the players are well aware, yes.
Good luck this week.
Thanks, Todd.
Going to be fun. And a really great opportunity to show great fan support both Friday and Sunday at the Arc. For Bryce Drew, this is Todd Eichow. Thanks for joining us this week on Valpo Basketball Preview.